What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to our Week 6 college football preview brought to you by Wendy's. I'm RJ Young, joined by Fox Sports analyst Geoff Schwartz. Geoff, as always, first question, most important question of the night. How was the Wendy's?
It was delicious. I am very happy they started including the
buddy,
nuggets.
You're muted.
Oh,
try one more time.
I'm here.
There you go.
Here.
There you go.
I'm very happy they started including the nuggets in the order. Like, their nuggets are just delicious. Good burger tonight. The fries were good. You know, sometimes when the fries travel, these were crispy tonight, just like how I like them. It really hit the spot.
Hey, man, I enjoyed the 2 chicken sandwiches and the spicy nuggets and the fries. I'm very full and ready to get after it as I am sated. But you know what? My appetite for college football is not. First game on the schedule that you and I have to talk about is number 4 Michigan traveling to Bloomington, Indiana to take on the Hoosiers. I'm going to start with it this way. Michigan is 25-0 when ranked in the top 10 and facing Indiana, and Indiana has given up 30 a game in its losses and gave up its first loss of Big Ten season for Nebraska, I should say. They gave up the first win of the Big Ten season for Nebraska. What hope, if any, does Indiana have of defeating the number 4 ranked Michigan Wolverines, Geoff?
The Michigan is looking forward to Penn State next week. I think that's the best way to do it, right? I'm looking at Indiana. It's some of the numbers on Indiana right now. So they're 3-0. Oh, excuse me, 3-2. They lost the last 2 games, as you mentioned. But 2 of their wins have a post-game win expectancy of under 25%. So that means they weren't expected to even win those games, Western Kentucky and the Illinois game in week 1. So, like, they've even gotten lucky to win 2 of the 3 games. They're just not a good football team. Unless Michael Penix is coming back to Indiana tomorrow, Saturday, whatever day we're doing this, they're going to have a hard time, right? Like, I just don't know how you keep up with Michigan. Passed their Iowa test pretty well. I think Iowa's still a tough opponent, especially to score on. They did a great job, especially that opening drive, man. Boom, boom, boom down the field. Great first 15. They hung on at the very end. Late touchdown to make that score a little bit different. I think Michigan's just too good right now. And when you have a team like Michigan that's going to rely on running the football and playing strong defense, they're hard to have, like, down games on, right? Like, if you're a passing team, I feel like you can have it's easier to kind of have a down game than like a Michigan team that's just going to go out there and say, hey, we're going to beat you up at the line of scrimmage and we're going to make you pay.
I don't find anything in there to really disagree with you about, except to say I want to push that narrative a little bit further along, that they might be looking forward to a number 10 Penn State, which they'll host in Ann Arbor the following week. But it's also been the Blake Corum show in a way that I did not expect it to be to start the year. He is the strength of their offense. The offensive line, specifically guard to guard, has been very impressive. They were able to push an Iowa defense that I just did not believe they were going to be able to impose their will upon. And then J.J. McCarthy has shored up his ability to take care of the football. That was the liability with this dude. It's not the talent isn't there. He's a 5-star quarterback with the ability to make it happen on the run and to throw an accurate deep ball downfield. Now he doesn't put the ball on the ground. He doesn't throw it to the other team. And the defense is pretty doggone stout. Perhaps Indiana has a bit of magic, and they seem to at least once every year in games we don't expect him to be in. I think about 2020 when Michael Penix and Indiana gave Ohio State everything they want. Perhaps they have something up their sleeves with the home field advantage, with Big Noon being on tap for this game. But it's hard to see past Michigan putting another win together as we go toward what we expect to be a top 10 matchup between them and Penn State in State College next week. All right, next game on the schedule for you and I, my Oklahoma Sooners play Texas in the Cotton Bowl, neutral site game, Texas State Fair. Geoff, I said people are going to come bow hunting for my Sooners, and Texas Christian did exactly that. Put 55 on her skulls, 55-24. Perspective here is 2004, Brent Venables was also on that team, and the Sooners lost to USC national championship game, 55-19. Geoff, do you have any kind things you can say about my Sooners heading into this game in which we expect Quinn Ewers to make his return for the Longhorns?
So you're telling me you're going to play in the title game this year? Is that the reference we're making? Or TCU's going to win the championship? Is that what we're talking about?
Hey, Texas Christian's undefeated. They're undefeated.
I'm actually, we're going to talk about them later, I think, right? So we'll get them in a few minutes. I'm surprised Oklahoma is not better on defense. And I know that you can say, well, the players are Lincoln Riley's players. Not all of them are, But typically when you have a defensive coach like Brent Venables, even with the players that aren't as good, you still find some defense, right? And like the guys on TCU were wide open. It wasn't like there was like lack of tackling, RJ. They were just open. And now you play, in theory, a better offense with better players if Quinn Ewers is back. And I don't know what they do differently to stop the issues on defense, other than obviously just assignments, right? Not letting guys run free. But if you're Sark, and I think no one's ever accused Sark of not knowing how to coach offense, right? They've accused him of not being able to finish games well and game management, but coaching offense, he knows how to do that. And if Oklahoma gives him these opportunities to get guys running on the field free, he will take advantage of it. So I think Oklahoma has to just stop doing that, right? Now, I think Oklahoma can score okay on Texas, but if they're going to let guys run free of these Texas offensive players, it's going to be another long game, RJ.
That is correct. I also think that it's important to point out that Brent Venables is not calling the plays. That's Ted Roof's defense, and he's very much put on the head coach hat. But also that Oklahoma has been plagued by injuries. Like Dylan Gabriel took a very bad hit.
Oh yeah, how's he doing? Any update on him? I haven't seen much.
Yeah,
this
week. He's not one to reveal too much, except to say that they hope to have him. Nick Evers, the third string quarterback, who hasn't played a snap all year, might go, and then we know what we might have in one Davis Bevel. But it's also, you look around, Eric Gray had the knee injury. Not sure about whether or not he's going to be full go on Saturday. They had one of their better offensive linemen in Wanye Morris in a sling on the sideline. So we don't know if the offensive line is going to be at full go. And that was probably the only bright spot offensively is Javonte Barnes, 18 rushes, 100 yards. And then on the defensive side, Billy Bowman, one of the most talented players in the secondary, he got hurt. You're also looking at a Jalen Redmond that you're expecting to get a bunch of push. And if he doesn't play well at that defensive line spot, that's going to look bad. There aren't a whole lot of things to be excited about in as far as being healthy and ready to go the Red River rivalry. But I'll add this, and I'll give Brent Venables credit on this one. He said, I was a part of a team last year that began the season 4-3, and everybody told us that the sky was falling, and our guys decided that, no, we're going to go play a little football. And they won 10 games, right? Oklahoma wins 10 games this year. I'm going to be very, very happy, but I don't see how that is possible if you don't go get a win against Texas. Also would add in here, this is the first time that neither Oklahoma or Texas has been ranked heading into the Red River rivalry since 1998. That was Bob Stoops' first year as head coach at Oklahoma. We're coming up against a lot of firsts here, but the Burnt Orange is feeling pretty good about its opportunity to get one back after what has been one of the better games on the schedule the last, I would say even 3 years. It's
been great. Very quickly, so Dan Lanning, it seemed clear against Georgia, was not calling the defense, right? Like it was Tosh's defense and whatnot. I think we've seen, at least obviously I'm follow Oregon very closely, that Dan Lanning's been more involved in the defense each week. Like you just look him on the sidelines, he's giving signals, he's coaching guys up. Like, why hasn't Brent Venables done that? Like, this is his defense, is his side of the ball. Why not get more involved in making sure that his side of the ball, the one he knows best, is playing better?
Different strokes, different folks is what I got for you. He has a
way in
which he wants to do it. Well, and he also he's made no bones about the way that we're going to do it is going to change each and every week. And he also talked about coaching for years, even as we're getting into game number 6 for him. But I found a little bit of strength in what he had to say. And that's a guy that's really hard to rattle. Even after these last 2 losses where they got 48 dropped on him on average, 55. And then I believe, goodness me, was it 41? I lost count after
41.
Yeah, ran in the third time. My goodness. And we're giving it up to guys that are running. So this is another really terrible problem for Oklahoma to have, Geoff. Adrian Martinez goes for, I want to say, 148 on the ground. Max Duggan does a bit better. We're all of a sudden susceptible to quarterbacks that can run around a little bit. That's also been new for Oklahoma. That's usually what we do to opponents. And now it seems like if Hudson Card is the guy that goes, he's the more mobile quarterback of the two. I'll give this one to you. Would you rather, or do you think I should rather see Hudson Card or Quinn Ewers if I expect to win this game as an Oklahoma fan?
Oh, you probably want to see Card. I mean, I think Quinn, I mean, now, of course, coming back from an injury, you might be slow to come back. But, I mean, Quinn Ewers looked pretty good against Bama, buddy. Like, he was
pretty good. Pretty good.
He was, So I think you'd rather see Hudson Card in there than Quinn Ewers.
Ugh, it's gonna be a tough one. I'm probably gonna be beside myself at least twice during that game because I always am. But a game that I'm actually excited to see is the first that is going to happen in my lifetime. Number 17, Texas Christian at number 19, Kansas. This game is at noon Eastern on FS1. Look here, man. The last time that Kansas was undefeated in the month of October, hosting an undefeated opponent in the month of October, was 1960. And they were 1-0, the Jayhawks, and Syracuse was 2-0. We've got two outstanding football programs in the Big 12 playing for conference supremacy on OU Texas weekend. And we're talking about the Jayhawks and Texas Christian.
Yeah.
Who do you have going to win this game, Geoff?
So this is an interesting matchup because we're getting back to TCU now. So Dykes is the coach there, right? The head coach
Correct.
now at TCU?
Sonny Dykes.
So he's obviously traditional Mike Leach air raid, right? Like all going back. That's what he wants to run. And you typically don't see such a big shift in the offense in the first year in the air raid, right? Like you've gone from not running this offense to running this offense full tilt ahead. And right now they're kind of get the best of both worlds. They still have that really good defense they've had for years, plus now a more explosive offense, right? Like right now they enter this game, they've allowed 13, 17, 24, and 24. Like they're playing good defense on top of scoring a bunch of points. And to me, they're just slightly more well-rounded right now than is Kansas. And so the Kansas story is great. I'm glad game day is finally going there. They deserve all this love. I hope Leopold stays there and builds this thing up, right? Because I feel like he's going to get calls from many schools to come guide them. I think TCU is slightly better on defense, and they're on the road, and I don't know how much that matters in the situation, but I just feel like they're slightly better, and that to me is going to make a big difference if you think both offenses are pretty good, which they are. But TCU's defense is just better, so I'll take TCU to win this game.
I got to tell you that I'm very interested to see what Jalen Daniels and Lance Leipold have in store for Texas Christian, because Jalen Daniels has been outstanding when he's good, right? He wasn't so good against Iowa State, but that was an ugly game, and good teams win ugly games. Against Texas Christian, he's going to go against a defensive coordinator that I'm very familiar with. His name is Joe Gillespie. The reason I'm familiar with Coach Gillespie is you recruited my nephew to the University of Tulsa, and he developed one guy you might know by the name of Zaven Collins, right?
Oh, yeah.
That defense was outstanding while he was its coordinator.
Yep.
And he was the kind of dude that would leave no bones about what he wanted to do, right? I want some big, strong, fast guys that can stand up in 1'9" at about 250 pounds, rush the passer, cover the guys in the slot. All of a sudden, he walked into a situation where he's able to recruit just a little bit better. And he's familiar with the terrain, being a former high school football coach in the state of Texas. I think this is going to be a fascinating matchup because I believe it's going to be low scoring. And if Jalen Daniels is going to beat them, he's going to beat those dudes coming off the edge who might get by him or might put him on the ground. If those guys put him on the ground, it's going to be a long day for Kansas. If you get by those guys and make plays down the field, I like Kansas in this one. Let's talk about a game that I know is big in your neck of the woods, or at least I should say the conference that you follow the closest in the way that I follow the Big 10 and the Big 12. Number 11, Utah at number 18, UCLA. I will fully admit, Geoff, when I looked at this game on the schedule, I did expect Utah to be in this position. I did not expect UCLA to be in this position. Them being perfect and Utah being, well, the defending Pac-12 champ.
Yeah.
Who do you got here?
Oh man, this game is really tough. I wrote about it today for Fox Sports for us, and I'm conflicted here. UCLA played so much better than I thought they would against Washington. I think Washington was a little bit overvalued, but defensively UCLA did a great job. Right, Washington throws the ball out to the numbers a ton, and they just sat on the zone after basically the first drive and just said, "We're not letting you win this way." And for many years they hadn't done adjustments like that. And then offensively, DTR and his connection with Jake Bobo has been better, I think, to ever imagine. It kind of takes the place of Kyle Phillips and Dietrich, who left last year at tight end. But Utah has Clark Phillips at corner. And if Clark Phillips travels with Bobo, what can UCLA do offensively throwing the ball if that's not your option now? That's my concern for the Bruins. If they become one-dimensional, having to run the ball and protect DTR, I think this offense moves the ball less, If Phillips doesn't travel with Bobo, then I think they have a chance to move the ball down the field a little bit better. But Phillips, man, is legit. First round draft pick, just had 3 interceptions this past weekend. He can play. On the flip side, UCLA's defense, as I mentioned, played better than I thought they would against Washington. Utah's a different animal, right? They're going to run first, play action pass. But their issue offensively is Brent Keithy's out for the season. They're all-world tight end. Last weekend, we saw a little bit of Devon Vele take over a little bit at wide receiver, best game of his career, which he has to do. But the offense was just kind of like sluggish. So to me, I lean Utah ever so slightly, but I would take UCLA plus 4.5 as it sits right now. I think plus 4. I think Utah in the end does enough to win this game. They've been in this spot a lot more than UCLA has. Remember last year, UCLA beat LSU at the Rose Bowl and then put up a stinker against Fresno the next weekend. One last thing about this. Utah hosts USC next weekend, the weekend afterwards. I don't think they're a look-ahead type team, but that's a big look-ahead spot, right? Like you're going to a Rose Bowl, it's kind of low energy there, and you have USC on your schedule the next weekend. I wonder if they come out a little bit flat, but in the end, I'll take Utah to win this game ever so slightly.
Well, hell, dog, it ain't exactly high energy at the Coliseum. I mean, we're still waiting on them to sell out a game. That team's undefeated.
That game will be in Salt Lake City.
Oh, that game is in Salt Lake City.
In Salt Lake City, yes.
That's at Rice Eccles. Okay.
Yes,
okay. I take it back.
The Coliseum never sells out. I don't know why people think it's going to sell out. Just like it's not.
I think you have a really great point though about Fresno State last year, right? And LSU. Turns out that LSU team wasn't very good. That Fresno State team was very good. So it actually went the way that it should have. And Fresno State had to fight, claw, do everything in its power to beat that UCLA team last year. And I think they also learned from that. But I'm curious about how much Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Zach Charbonnet are going to have to say about this, because against Washington, as much as we know that Washington is not the defensive power that they have been in years past, I mean, Charbonnet had 124 on the ground. I want to say DTR had 323 through the air.
It was DTR's best game of his career. Like it's his 5th year starting. I think he's the first 5th-year starter of all time in college football. 5th-year quarterback. It's never been done before because of the COVID year, right? I don't know anyone that started. It's his 5th season. So he's playing like he's in his 5th season. He's playing the best of his career. He's completing nearly 75% of passes. But again, you have a Utah defense that they have not seen this season, right? Again, easiest schedule through 4 games of all Power 5 teams. They get a Washington defense that is transitioning after losing 2 corners in the draft, different defensive coordinator. And so they have not seen, again, a Utah defense that's playing really well. They're running, to your point, though, stopping the run has just been a little bit off this season for them. But Clark Phillips and Cole Bishop in the back end, they have linebackers. They have a defense that UCLA has not seen yet. And so, again, I wonder if they take away Jake Bobo, where does the passing come from for the Bruins?
Last question I have for you on this game. Does the winner of this game play in the Pac-12 championship game?
It's a great question. The tougher road, actually, they both have tough roads because Utah, they both go to Oregon. UCLA plays Oregon the following weekend, and then Utah plays Oregon later in the season. They both have USC on their schedule because they still have that South schedule, essentially. I trust Utah more than UCLA. I think that Utah is going to regret losing to Florida by the time the season's over, because they're going to be 12-1 or 11-2 with that loss and not in the playoffs. I'm still rolling with Utah here. I think there's a possibility that there's kind of a round robin of everyone beating each other at some point because they all play each other this year.
I'm really interested to see the winner of this game, because I do believe that the winner of this game is going to get a spot in the Pac-12 championship game, which basically means that I'm saying that either Oregon or USC is the other team that I believe is going to play in the Pac-12 championship game. It's a really, really fascinating conference all of a sudden, mostly thanks to UCLA and Oregon and Washington deciding we're going to be about something. Washington State said, oh yeah, us too. Next game on the schedule for you and I, number 8 Tennessee at number 25 LSU at Tiger Stadium. This is the point that I want to raise, and I'm sure producer Kat is enjoying this one. Tennessee plays one of the toughest schedules in America every year, just like the Arkansas Razorbacks, for the nature of the way the schedule always lays out for them. They're going to have to play Georgia. They're going to have to play Florida. If Kentucky's good, they got them. If Missouri's good, they got them. They got South Carolina in a good year. And oh, by the way, their crossers, every year they're going to play Alabama, and then they're going to get a team like LSU. That said, I think they're coming up on their 3rd ranked opponent in 5 games. What do you think it says that Tennessee is in a position to continue to remain undefeated with a ranked win against an LSU, or that LSU might be able to knock them off?
What is LSU though? Like I don't like, what are they, RJ? Like I know what Tennessee is.
I didn't rank them.
What is LSU? Like I don't know what they are. They just won a game with a post-game win percentage of 8%, right? Like they won a game they really should not have won. What are they on offense, right? Like is Jane Daniels healthy? Is he playing? I was never really that impressed from Arizona State. He's been very up and down this season. You know, defensively, LSU has good numbers, but they have not played offense. I mean, they've had Florida State, Southern, Mississippi State, who is a decent offense, New Mexico, Auburn. I mean, Tennessee's offense, the pace, the up and down nature of it, like they haven't seen that yet. Most teams don't see an offense like Tennessee's. I just don't know what LSU is. I know what Tennessee is. They're pretty good. Now they're on the road again. I don't know if they're looking ahead to Alabama, who they play next weekend, the weekend after that, I should say. But I lean Tennessee here. I think they're just a better team. I just don't know what LSU is, and that's concerning to me.
I think I'm with you in that you're saying we don't know who LSU is, but we seem to have an idea of who Tennessee is. And they established that with the win against Florida, but also they're in another mental challenge, right? They hadn't beaten Florida in so long, and they have lost to LSU in their last 5 meetings. This feels like the first opportunity for them to end that trend, and to do that not at home like they did against Florida, but on the road, I think would do more for their psyche and for the psyche of their fans moving forward, is I think that they're going to give Alabama every bit of what they want. Alabama seems vulnerable, and if Tennessee can make light work of LSU, I think we're all going to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to trying to beat the number 1 team in college football come the 3rd week of October. So we got to touch on your Oregon Ducks, number 12 in the AP. They're at Arizona. How do you feel about this game?
It's a weird place to be as an Oregon fan, where I just think we're going to kick butt against a bad football team. Like, it's been a while to say that. It's been since the Chip Kelly years, where it feels like we just play and beat opponents that are lesser than us. BYU, Washington State's game, like Washington had 4 explosive plays on offense, 3 trick plays, and the final play of the game, basically. Like, it wasn't like they just marched down the field on us. It was flea flicker, double reverse pass, and that quick snap. Our defense is better than we get credit for, nonetheless. Arizona can move the ball one way. They have good wide receivers. Cowing and T-Mac, very good. But otherwise, they're not good up front. They can't stop a nosebleed on defense. We are one of the better rushing teams. I just think, dude, it's weird. For so many years, this game would terrify me. And I played twice at Arizona, okay? One time, the first time, our quarterback broke his foot, was out for the rest of the season. The second time, Dennis Dixon tore his ACL. Like, Arizona stinks. No one likes playing there, okay? We don't like playing there. We played double overtime games there. They all stink. But we're better. Like, we're playing good football. So I think Oregon wins this game going away, not a problem. And we head into our bye week at 5-1, feeling good about ourselves.
I'm not inclined to disagree with you. I also think that if you drop this game against Arizona, that's going to answer my question about who's playing the Pac-12 championship.
The thing about what Oregon's doing offensively is we didn't play well last weekend and put up 41 points. Like, we had 12 penalties or something like that on offense. Arizona, Cal scored 49 points in Arizona. Jaden Ott had 274 yards rushing. We also have 4 Jaden Otts on our team. Like, we're going to be just fine against Arizona.
Last point of business for us tonight is fan question submitted for this event. What more can the Buckeyes do to prove they're number 1? That is from @B_U_C_K_E_Y_E. For those of y'all that waited, that spells Buckeye. Yeah. So I'll give it to you first, Geoff. What more can the Buckeyes do to prove they're number 1?
I was hoping the question was going to be, are you happy there's no more Aaron Judge cut-ins for the rest of college football season? That's what I thought it was going to be. But yes, the answer would be yes. Look, the thing about rankings, man, is who cares right now? Right? It's not important until the playoff rankings come out. Don't give me that look. I know you like to rank things. I'm fine with that. That's your business.
But here's the number one college football show, man. I do a top 25 every Sunday. What are you doing?
Here's about rankings, okay? How about this? If Oregon had played Georgia State and not Georgia week 1, we'd be in the top 5 right now. Are we a top 5 football team? No. Like, to me, you still need a couple more weeks to figure out where these teams are going to be at. Ohio State, whether they're 1, 2, or 3, they're going to be in the playoffs if they keep winning. Like, to me, I don't worry about Oregon's 10th, 12th, 6th, 7th. Top 4. It's all that matters in the end. Ohio State's in the top 4 right now. They're going to be just fine if they keep winning. And even if they lose a game, they still have Michigan on their schedule. Like, they're going to be back in there if they just win out after losing a game if they lose one.
I'm a competitor. I don't want to be one of the best 4. I want to be the best. And I think that's where I draw the line in rankings. And that's why I think rankings are important. To that end, I think the Ohio State Buckeyes are the best. And I ranked them number 1 on Sunday because they stopped a mud hole in Rutgers and walked it dry. They've stopped a mud hole in Toledo and walked it dry.
Oh, yeah.
They've stopped a mud hole in everybody but Notre Dame and walked it dry. They have looked the most complete team in college football, doing the most with the least. They've been able to put Julian Fleming on the sideline. They've been able to put the best wide receiver in the country on the sideline, Jackson Smith-Njigba. They've been able to put Travion Henderson on the sideline, and Mayan Williams is going to go for 189. Their defense is playing lights out. They're feeling themselves. They did not like losing to Michigan last year.
Yeah.
They did not like not playing in the Big Ten championship game last year. And they didn't like not being one of the 4 best teams in college football last year. So they're saying to hell with it. We want it all. Give us number 1. Now, I crowned Georgia, like everybody else crowned Georgia, as the number 1 because they felt dominant. One reason being they beat the hell out of the Oregon Ducks.
Yes.
That said, when we're doing rankings, do care who's 1, who's 2, who's 3, who's 4, because 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. I want to play the weaker opponent. Save me the meat until the end. That makes sense?
Oh, I know. I totally get it. I think I've been so many years, I've just been, the rankings have shunned the Pac-12 conference. I just have forgotten about them. I've just been like, they're ranked. Oh, cool. There's teams right now ranked that I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. Washington State's better than that team, but that's fine. It is what it is. But nonetheless, I get your point. I think Ohio State right now is the most well-rounded team. There's questions on Alabama, especially offensively, right? Those weapons they have. Georgia seems to just maybe they're in that state where they're just on cruise control mode. Where they're just waiting for a quote unquote bigger game to kind of bring their A game back out. But that problem is in that conference though, that can lose you a game, right? If you don't play up to potential each week, you're getting the best from your opponent each week. And so if you don't bring it, you might not win that game. Georgia learned a good lesson, I think, against Missouri. We'll see if they play against Auburn this weekend.
100% against Missouri and even Auburn, but you don't give up 22 to Kent State when you ain't giving up more than 22 since the start of last season.
Kent State is better than Oregon, obviously. That's where I'm at right now. Kent State is Kent State on your Hall of Fame of get money teams?
No, because they didn't win.
Oh, you have to win those games. Okay.
Yeah, you got to win. You got to put money in the bag. You got to get the W.
Well,
you're going to get the money regardless.
Yeah, you get the money regardless.
Yeah, you're getting paid. Did you get the W too? Right. That is how you put money in the bag.
Do you think the players care that they made $6 million for their program to get their butts whooped for 3 weeks?
Yeah, they do. They do, and they take a special glee in it when they get one back because nobody expects them to win that game.
Oh, yeah.
Especially their athletic directors that put it on them, and they carry that out into the field. Sometimes you end up with Marshall beating up on Notre Dame.
Oh,
all right.
That was great.
I think that's going to do it for this edition of our College Football Spaces brought to you by Wendy's. For Geoff Schwartz, for the fine folks at Wendy's and the fine folks at Fox Sports, I'm RJ Young. We will see y'all same place, same time next week. Deuces.